Hello, I'm State Senator Eddie Lucy Jr., and I want to take an opportunity right here from the Texas Senate, right here on the floor of the Senate, to congratulate a very dear friend, a great public servant in Willacy County, Sheriff Spence. Sheriff, I just want you to know that as you celebrate your 50th year in public service and law enforcement, I can't help but think of the wonderful legacy that you have established over the years, a role model that you are, and the fact that you have meant so much to so many in Willacy County over the years. I want to congratulate you, and I want you to know that we all feel that you're a man of honor. We respect you. We appreciate the dedication, the leadership that you provided in the law enforcement community. But most important, I personally want to thank you for being a man of God, one that walks with God every day and uses his faith, your faith, to be able to do a good job for the people of Willacy County. Congratulations for 50 years, Sheriff. You certainly have earned my respect and the respect of thousands of people that have known you over the years. Congratulations.
Gentlemen, before we begin, I'd like to have Sheriff Spence come up and do a quick little prayer.
Would the rest of you can remain seated. I want all law enforcement personnel, EMS, and firemen to please stand. I want to do a special prayer for you all. Law enforcement, EMS, and firemen. Warden, you can stand too. Before we do that, let's have a moment of silence, though, for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice by giving up their life, protecting others. So if you please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I ask you, Lord, to watch over all of our law enforcement officers, emergency medical teams, firemen, and give these people in their vehicles traveling mercies back and forth wherever they may go today. I ask you, Lord, to loose your angels around them and any passengers to guard, protect, and to minister to them. And Lord Jesus, protect these people that no harm will come to those who are serving us in our communities. Give each of them alertness, an awakened and sharp mind, with abundant energy and stamina to go through what they are facing from the time they get up to the time they fall asleep. And prepare them mentally and physically to handle each situation as it arises. Place them on the hearts and minds of your intercessors and prayer warriors everywhere to stand in the gap and make up the hedge of protection for their lives. And I ask you, Lord, to shield, protect, and keep them from mental and physical injury, hurt, harm, and trauma. Also protect their vehicles from other vehicles and people. Bless them in what they put their hands to do for us and for their community. Renew and refresh their souls and bodies from stress and fatigue. And Lord, cause their minds to focus clearly to achieve each task that's set before them. And Lord, I pray that you will restore, bless, and prosper their marriages, their friendships, and their family relationships as they do their stressful jobs. Lord, help the injured to get to the hospital in time so they will live and receive proper life-saving treatment. And Heavenly Father, I ask in Jesus' holy name that these people and their loved ones will be drawn to you and come to your saving grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and have an eternal relationship with you. And all these things, Lord, we ask that lives will be changed through law enforcement, medical personnel, and firemen to be used for your glory and for your kingdom, Heavenly Father. We ask your sovereign will be done in all things. This we pray in thy name. Amen.
My name is Larry Spence. I'm the Willacy County Sheriff. At about this time of the year is when my law enforcement anniversary comes around every year, and this year just so happens on June 1st it'll be 50 years of carrying a badge of one kind or another. I started out in law enforcement. First got the interest of it as a young patrol boy in elementary school, and I had a very busy intersection where I was stationed as one of the older patrol boys. And at that intersection, our chief of police in the town of Clinton, Indiana at that time, went by the name of Smokey Joe LeBay. He used to stop by and talk with me every evening and have me watch his car when he'd go across the street to the Goodyear store and get him a soda or something. But if they hollered for him on the radio, I was supposed to get in touch with him. But from the stories he told me and the joy that he seemed to have serving the public, that's what first piqued my interest about law enforcement.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 50 Years Behind the Badge, honoring Sheriff Larry Spence. My name is James Spence. Sheriff Spence is my dad. So it's pretty safe to say I have a fairly good connection. And when I was volunteered to come and do this MC thing, I agreed so that I could move it along as quickly as possible. Tonight we're going to hear about Sheriff Spence's law enforcement journey over the last 5 decades, but I promise it won't take that long to tell the story. I promise to have you home early enough to watch LeBron lose yet another NBA Finals. Not that I care at all who wins these finals. Go Spurs, go. But as you can tell from many of the items surrounding the room tonight, Sheriff Spence's first official day wearing a badge was June 1st, 1966. However, in speaking with him over the course of the last few weeks, I've discovered that he had been bitten by the law enforcement bug long before that. As a 5th grade student, he was captain of the school safety patrol. He held down one of the busiest corners in his hometown of Clinton, Indiana. And for those of you who don't know, Clinton is a small town about 20 miles from Terre Haute, so he must have seen tens of people a day, 10, 15. It was on one of these days that the local police chief, known affectionately as Smokey Joe LeBay, would stop and talk with the young man. Soon they would converse regularly, and the chief would share police stories with him. One day, Patrolman Spence was called into the principal's office. And I don't know if those stories had him daydreaming on the job, but he was informed that he had left his slow children sign, that's slow, comma, children, not slow children, but his slow children sign out overnight, and it had been run over by a truck. So Captain Spence was now Lieutenant Spence. Even so, the law enforcement seed had been planted. The photo you saw on the reverse side of your invitations for this evening was of him in his patrol belt, smiling and proud. That must have been taken before the demotion. Now, he didn't have those badges from way back then, and just really quickly, I'd like to, can you pick that up, Dad? I had this made for him today. It's a shadow box with all of his badges from that first Air Force badge. So, I told the gentleman that made it, I said, you better take good care of these things. These are my inheritance. Unfortunately, he didn't have those patrolman badges to put into the box. But by the power of the internet and eBay, I would like to present to Captain/Lieutenant Spence his patrol boy badges. No problem.
From there, I went on through school, and after school, I went to Washington, D.C., worked for the Federal Bureau of Investigation as a clerical employee for about 2.5 years. And then, due to the draft still being in effect, I went back to my home state of Indiana and enlisted in the United States Air Force, seeking to be a military policeman. I went to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, graduated from that and got my position as a military policeman. From there I went, that was in 1966, from there I went to Cambria Air Force Station in Cambria, California, which is halfway between LA and Frisco, small station off the Pacific coast there, and it was a really nice place. And then from there I went to South Vietnam. I was still a military policeman there. I was there for 13 months, and most of the time I spent in Pleiku, South Vietnam. I did the first couple of weeks in Saigon, or Tan Son Nhut Air Base as it's known. And we did the 13 months there, and God was with us, kept us safe. And I just happened to be there in 67 and 68, from September 67 to October 68, which was the time of the Tet, part of that time was the time of the Big Tet Offensive. But like I said, God kept us safe there.
At this time, I'd like to bring up for a presentation Judge Midaglia Lopez.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you tonight. And I remember when I first got out of law school, and I was here in Willacy County doing one of the cases, and I remember meeting, at that time, Officer Spence, Deputy Officer Spence. And then as we got to know each other, you know, he became sheriff, and I still was an attorney, and then later I became the judge, and we've had a great relationship. Whenever I need anything, the sheriff is there to take care of whatever is needed. He has a deputy, 2 deputies that come to my office, and when we have court, they take care of the security there at the courthouse. One of the things that I admire about the sheriff is that he has so much patience. And, you know, things don't ruffle him. And I'm just amazed, you know, because, of course, different things happen, but he's always very calm. He always handles it very well. About a year, maybe a year and a half ago, he was at Casablanca, and I happened to stop by for breakfast, and we were sitting and we were talking. And I think he almost wanted to cry. Because he was saying, well, you know, the budget is so bad, and they're going to cut my officers and everything. I said, oh, me too. And so, you know, him and I were just talking about our little problems. But, you know, at the end of the conversation, he said, but you know what? I'll do the job that I have to do with what I have. And I was like, wow, wow. And so when they told me about this function, I said, you know, what can I give a man that probably has everything? So I decided to put together a shadow box. And it has his picture. And then I have here the saint of law enforcement, St. Michael's. And I got that from the FBI, I'll have you know. And of course, I got a little badge, a little patch as well. And then I wanted to show what we were doing here today and to give to him so he could have something that he could put in his office and know that all of us appreciate 50 years of service. That's more than I've been married. I've been married 45 years. He's been there 50. I said, wow. And he'll probably be there another 50 years, serving our community. I don't know about that. You know, I want to take the opportunity to thank law enforcement. I really do appreciate your service, you know. And I always try to make myself available to whenever you need me for search warrants or whatever. I had a great honor bestowed upon me a while ago. I got accepted into the FBI Academy. You know? And now I'm not an FBI agent. It's a Citizens Academy. I want you to know. I learned so much. And they told me, wow, you think, you know, as a judge that you learn? I said, oh, yes. It was an eye-opener for me. And it told me that we in the United States have to do our duties and our share of helping law enforcement. And so I say to everybody that's here, if you ever see anything that you think is suspicious, that's the one thing I learned from the academy, that we have to help them out, because without our help, they won't be able to do it. A great man to know, and I want to thank them very much for all their work, and every single one here. So thank you very much. And Sheriff, another 50.
There. I returned back stateside and got stationed at Scott Air Force Base in Belleville, Illinois. It was just out of St. Louis, and from there I met a lady from Raymondville, Texas, and got married there, and went back to my home state when we both got out of the Air Force in 1970. And position opened up in the city police there in Clinton, Indiana, and I worked as a city police officer there for 6 years before moving to South Texas.
just really quickly before we move on, I'd like to recognize there are quite a few of Sheriff Spence's fellow sheriffs here tonight. So if you're one of our illustrious Texas sheriffs, could you please stand to be recognized? For those of you who may not know, I'm one of the band directors at Becklacabasa Middle School in San Benito, and every summer we go to a music conference in San Antonio. And it just so happened that 2 or 3 years ago, that our conference coincided with the Texas Sheriff's Association conference, and we were in the same location. And I don't know how many of my fellow band directors walked by and said, "Why are there so many people walking around downtown San Antonio with guns?" And I said, "Don't you feel safer with them around than when they're not here?" At this time, I'd like to bring up from the city of Raymondville to make a presentation, Commissioner Chris Tamez.
Good evening. Thank y'all for being here. And I'm here from the city of Raymondville. The mayor's out of town, so I'm going to do the city of Raymondville proclamation. Whereas Sheriff G. Spence was born in Clinton, Arizona, and graduated from high school there in 1964, leaving to Washington, D.C. to work as a clerical employee with the FBI. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence, after working for 2 years with the FBI, returned to Indiana to enlist in the United States Air Force, where upon completion of basic training, became a military policeman serving in that capacity from 1966 to 1970. During that time, Larry was stationed in California, Pleiku, South Vietnam, and Scott Air Force Base in Belleville, Illinois, where he met his future wife, Maria Reyes, from Raymondville, Texas. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence returned home to Clinton, Indiana after his military service, where he married his wife, Maria Reyes, and had his first son named Gary Spence. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence, after working as a city patrolman in Clinton, Indiana, for a period of 6 years, made the move to Raymondville, Texas, where he began working for the Willacy County Sheriff's Department until then Sheriff Oscar Correa on June 1st, 1976. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence worked as a Willacy County deputy, a sergeant, and a lieutenant under Sheriff Correa, and as a chief deputy under Sheriff Raul Arevalo. And whereas Sheriff Larry Spence began his first term as sheriff of Willacy County on January the 1st, 1985, and has just started his 32nd consecutive year as sheriff, completing 8 4-year term. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence has always been a public servant and has repeatedly stated that his position has never been about himself, it's always been about people he serves. Sheriff Spence has volunteered and has been involved with many community organizations such as the Willacy County Little League, Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scouts of America, Texas War on Drugs, Raymondville Lions Club, American Legion Post 6719, Past Chaplain, Quartermaster, the McGruff Program for Schools, and helped start the National Day of Prayer observance in Raymondville. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence has always been involved with several law enforcement associations such as the Sheriff's Association of Texas, the Texas Border Sheriffs Coalition, Southwest Border Sheriffs Coalition, and the National Sheriffs Association, and has been the recipient of many law enforcement awards, such as the J. Edgar Hoover Award for Distinguished Police Service, Silver Star for Bravery Law Enforcement, Texas Department of Public Safety Directors Award, and for significant law enforcement leadership in protecting Texas. And whereas Sheriff Larry G. Spence lives in the city of Raymondville with his wife Vicenta of 19 years, who retired after 30 years of teaching. Sheriff Spence has 2 sons, Gary Spence and James Spence, and has 2 stepsons, Ricky Espinosa and Rini Fonseca, whom he loves dearly and has helped raise. And whereas Sheriff Spence on June 1st, 2016 has completed consecutive years of wearing a law enforcement badge of one type or another, now therefore, before it resolved that the city of Raymondville does hereby issue this special tribute to this remarkable man and role model in recognition of June 16, 2016 as Sheriff Larry G. Spence Day in the city of Raymondville, and urge all its citizens to honor this man on this day. given under my hand and seal of the City of Raymondville, Texas, this 16th day of June 2016, Gilbert Gonzalez, Mayor of City of Raymondville, and attesting to that is Eliezer Garcia Jr., City Manager.
As has been mentioned, in 1964, he graduated from high school and decided to join a friend that had graduated the previous year, was working for the FBI in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, we don't have a badge or credentials from that time. Surprisingly, the FBI doesn't take kindly to random people calling and asking for files on former employees. But after working with the Bureau for 2 years, he received word from the draft board in Indiana that his number was coming up, and not wanting to be drafted, he went home in '66 and enlisted in the United States Air Force. He was sent to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio for basic training. And on June 1st of '66, he was assigned the duty of military policeman. That title has evolved a little bit over the years. I believe it's now Special Forces, Security Forces. After basic at Lackland, he swore he would never return to Texas. See how that worked out for you? And his tenure with the U.S. Air Force took him to California, then to Saigon, and then he was assigned to Pleiku Air Force Base in the Central Highlands of Vietnam. He got there just around the time of the Tet Offensive. He was discharged from the Air Force in 1970 and returned to his hometown in Indiana. At this time, I'd like to bring up County Judge Aurelio Guerra.
Thank you. What I'll be doing is I'm going to be reading a proclamation from the state. State Senator Eddie Lucio had asked me if I would do that. I said I'd be honored. We are all under the state, so absolutely I would do it. But before I do that, I would like to ask the sheriffs that are here from other counties, if you have some rabbits, please leave them here with me, because I'm going to need them. Magic rabbits, that's right. I also want to acknowledge all the first responders that are here. I know the sheriff is part of that, and as the communities sleep throughout the night, these individuals are out there keeping us safe, responding to emergencies and what have you. So thank you, all of you law enforcement that are out there. Of course, the sheriff as well. And I don't have a proclamation from the county sheriff, and let me tell you why. Because you are the county. Did I get out of that one? Okay, I'm going to read the Senate of the State of Texas, Senate Proclamation number 486. Whereas the Senate of the State of Texas is pleased to recognize Willacy County Sheriff Larry G. Spence, who is celebrating 50 years of distinguished law enforcement service on June 1st of 2016, and whereas Sheriff Spence began his career in law enforcement in 1966 as a military policeman in the United States Air Force. He served as a city patrolman in Indiana for 6 years, and he joined the Willacy County Sheriff's Department in June 1st of '76. And whereas he worked his way through the ranks in Willacy County from a deputy and jailer to become a sergeant and lieutenant, and he gained the respect and admiration of the community as a writer of a weekly newspaper column. From behind the badge, he was first elected as Willacy County Sheriff in June 1st of 1985. And whereas Sheriff Spence has gained national attention for his work to combat drugs, and he was invited by President Reagan to attend the White House conference for a drug-free America devoted to community service, he has received a volunteer award from 3 different state governors. And whereas a truly esteemed public servant, Sheriff Spence is serving his 8th consecutive term in office and is currently running unopposed for his 9th term. He is a beloved and respected leader in the community and has exemplary leadership his exemplary leadership will have a lasting impact in the Rio Grande Valley. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Senate of the State of Texas hereby commend Willacy County Sheriff Larry Spence for his tireless work on behalf of his community, our state, and the nation, and congratulate him on 50 years of service, and be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be prepared for him as an expression of esteem for the Texas Senate. Eddie Lucio Jr., Member, Texas Senate. I hereby certify that the above proclamation was adopted. Congratulations.
At this time, we have a presentation from Mrs. Irma Chapa and the Border Patrol.
I have a quote here I want to read. I'm a little sneaky like that, Sheriff. I sneak into places. So there's lots of people in the room tonight that I haven't seen in a really long time, so it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces, and I got to get my hug now. It's great to be back in Raymondville. No, I wasn't a singer. I used to work at Channel 4. And now I work for the U.S. Border Patrol. But I really am here because the sheriff is my friend. He really is. And I'm getting chills right now just because we've been friends for a very long time. And when you make true friends, you're going to be there for them. And he has always been here for me in every career that I've had, whether it was at Valley Baptist or with Channel 4 and now with the U.S. Border Patrol. Did I work anywhere else? Oh, yes, Fox and Univision. I've been blessed because I'm not from here. I grew up in East Texas, and yesterday, one of a longtime friend of my family's, not just mine, passed away, and he was a county commissioner in Woodville, in Tyler County. And his name was Maxie Riley. And Maxie and Larry were mentors for me. And they made a difference in my life in the way, in the perspective I have of law enforcement. And I am extremely blessed to work with alongside so many people like yourselves who get to wear a badge. And not only those who wear a badge, but also those who help us at emergency scenes and sites and homes and all that good stuff. And so lots of people don't realize how blessed we are, especially in smaller communities. And I brought up Maxie, who's now in heaven, and I'm sure commissioning everything up in heaven right now, because like Larry Spence, they made a difference in everything about and now how I tell my children how I want them to be, because I have two boys, 13 and 11. And so I'm really honored to be here tonight. Until tonight, I had no idea that your four boys were not your four boys, because that's how much love you have and what kind of person you are. Until tonight, I had no idea that you had served in the military, but I knew that you were a very strong, committed American individual. Until tonight, I did not know that you made a pact with Judge Lopez to be the sheriff for another 50 years. But here's a little bit more about what I do know. Sheriff Spence uses his God-given gifts to serve others. Sheriff Spence welcomed me as a new reporter into this little slice of what I call heaven of Willacy County, because I grew up in a small community just like yours. And you guys adopted me 20 years ago and welcomed me to schools and community events, accident sites where I had no business being, and you guys gave me all the information I needed to know. I'm sure there's a lot of you in here who would tell me, yeah, no, that guy over there was responsible. Anyway, and it's overwhelming for me to know that we have such great people and that you didn't wait till retirement to have tonight's event, because this is exactly what we should do, celebrate your life. And so to you, I commend you for doing that. So I really just want you to know that as a friend and as a representative of the U.S. Border Patrol, we have this plaque for you that I'll have you hold, please. And it reads, "Public servants deserve respect and appreciation. Your commitment to law enforcement is invaluable. On behalf of the Rio Grande Valley Sector Border Patrol, we honor your service and the many great challenges you have tackled, not only in Willacy County, sir, but throughout South Texas." And there's a quote here that I want to leave you with from St. Francis of Assisi. Remember that when you leave this earth, you can take with you nothing that you have received, only what you have given, a full heart enriched by honest public service, love, sacrifice, and courage. And when I saw that quote, I thought of you, my dear.
Thank you very much. Isn't she wonderful? She's wonderful back then. She's still wonderful. And she still looks the same.
If I could have representatives from the city of Lyford.
Run back up, yeah. We have our team coming up. We have Commissioner Pablo Morales right here with me, Commissioner Albert Cavazos, Commissioner Maggie Quilatan. I'm Mayor Henry de la Paz, City of Lyford. Well, first of all, we want to say thank you for the wonderful years of service you've put in. It's not every day that we know somebody that's dedicated 50 years of their life in protecting others. When you decide to get into law enforcement, it has to be one of the biggest honors that there is, because you're taking the chance of somebody else harming you, but you're also taking the chance of protecting everybody else in this room. So we really want to say thank you. Being in law enforcement takes a special type of person. It takes a person with heart, compassion, but most importantly, it takes a person with integrity. Sheriff Spence has all those qualities and some to spare. I am sure we have wonderful stories of how you've helped some people here, or we know somebody that Sheriff Spence has helped. We've worked side by side, and in 2009, Sheriff Spence helped us reestablish the Lyford Police Department. He was quick to help us in the hiring process. He was quick to provide any type of equipment that we needed. So for that, we want to say thank you. On behalf of the citizens of Lyford, the Lyford City Commission, myself, once again, we say thank you. And we want to present the first ever key to the city of Lyford, Texas. Now, Sheriff, in case of emergency, you tear that off. You're good for taxes. No, you don't pay taxes. You don't pay nothing in life. That's your free pass right there.
Thank you very much. Never had a key to the city before. I'll try that out.
Will that key get us into Tucker's? Tucker's. Can't get enough of Tucker's barbecue. Spence spent 6 years with the Clinton, Indiana Police Department in his own hometown. After enduring 6 Indiana winters, he and his wife at the time, Maria Reyes, along with their young son Gary, decided to make the move to her hometown of Raymondville. Within a month, he was working for the Willacy County Sheriff's Office, serving under Sheriff Oscar Correa. Unfortunately, tragedy struck in 1977 when Maria was involved in a car accident on her way to work that claimed her life. Spence, along with his young son, that's not me, that's the other one, the one in Indiana. And you come back and you're gone for a long time, and you get the Gary? No, not Gary. Rainey? No, not Rainey. James. Okay. It's worse when it's your parents doing it, but. They decided to stay in Raymondville to be near her family. During this time, he was promoted to sergeant and then lieutenant. In addition, he began writing a weekly column for the Raymondville Chronicle News entitled From Behind the Badge. If you see it now, it just says Behind the Badge. You gotta save column inches. It originally contained information on tips in crime prevention, but over the years it's evolved into kind of a chicken soup for the soul, if you will, and a look at the man behind the badge, and that's the way it remains today. At this time, I'd like to bring up members of the Willacy County Navigation District.
Thanks, sir. Good evening, everyone. Sure. My name's Ron Mills. I'm the Port Director from Port Mansfield. And I don't have any proclamations or anything. We don't have a city to give you a key to. So, that's right. Well, we'll work on that. But what I tried to do for the last, and my wife can attest to this, for several days, try to figure out something that I hadn't seen in your office, which seems to be full of all kinds of memorabilia, but was also unique to us. So what I came up with was a little souvenir box here that says from the Willacy County Navigation District, Port Mansfield Police Department, Port Mansfield Public Utility District, and it says 50 years behind the badge, we're forever grateful. And inside are 3 knives. There's a fishing knife with Willacy County Navigation District on it, a lock blade for the police department, and a utility Swiss Army knife from the utility department. So I thought we'd try to cover all those bases. Well, most likely, so.
When I got to Texas, I've been in law enforcement 10 years and thought about seeking other employment that might have paid a little bit better, but a month later I was working for the sheriff at that time, which was Oscar Correa, and worked with the sheriff's office there and moved up the ranks to lieutenant with him, and then later worked for Raul Revelo Sr., who was an ex-sheriff, and worked as his chief deputy for 3 years. And then come election time again, I ran for sheriff and I was let go. So during that year I was off. We won the election, but during the year I was off, waiting to take office. I worked as an investigator for the Willacy County District Attorney's Office under the DA, Edna Cisneros. From there, I became sheriff. I took office in January 1985. I've been serving till the present date. I'm in my 32nd year as sheriff, and it's been a real pleasure serving the public. I've been a public servant all my life, and I enjoy serving the public. I'm a people person, and I love the people of Willacy County, and they've been good to me, and I try to give back to the community as much as possible. And there's probably a lot of stories there. I probably got 2 or 3 good bestseller books and everything, but it's just going to take the time to sit down and write them when I get the time. But right now, I've met a lot of good people. I've met a couple presidents, vice presidents. It's just something a farm boy from Indiana wouldn't think he'd ever do, and God's opened the door and gave me a lot of opportunities, and I appreciate that.
At this time, if I could please have from the Texas Department of Public Safety, Commander Joe Rodriguez.
I brought a little backup just because they look prettier than I do. So. I'm Joe Rodriguez, Regional Commander for DPS, and it's an honor to be here today with you for Sheriff Spence here. What an amazing career he has, 50 years of service. And I want to say that it's easy to say I am a public servant or I am in public service. That's easy. The true measure of a public servant is the way you treat people, your actions. And if you look at what Larry Spence has done for 50 years, we ought to have his picture on in the dictionary under public service. So let's give him a round of applause for that. We brought you a couple things, and we've got a certificate here from the Director McCraw and signed by myself, and it has 45 years on it. I don't know if they looked at your key cold certification or what it was, but I'll gladly get some white out and fix that for you, all right? But it says Certificate of Appreciation. It is with great honor and respect that the Texas Department of Public Safety presents to Honorable Larry Spence, Willacy County Sheriff, the Texas flag flown over the Texas State Capitol on June 9, 2016, in honor of over 45 years of unyielding dedication, service, and friendship to the citizens of Texas. The Texas Department of Public Safety wishes to express its gratitude for your commitment to law enforcement as a Texas peace officer and your military service to our great country. Thank you very much, Larry.
At this time, we have a presentation from Elizabeth Urbina and Rosalie Tristan, representatives from CASA.
Elizabeth and I are with Behavioral Health Solutions of South Texas. We do prevention, intervention, and research. And Sheriff Spence is our president of our coalition. It's been in existence over 15 years, and he's been president most of those years. And like Judge Vidalia Lopez was talking about, no funding in the community. Sheriff Spence has been helping in the coalition without funding. We recently got funding 3 years ago, and that's why Lizzie and I are here. But some of the things that he's been able to do with us has been amazing with our youth. When you can get a grown man lead a parade of youth, that's just amazing. McGruff, he brings McGruff to our youth. At our schools, he does presentations. He's there for our town hall meetings. He's there for our synthetic drug symposium. Anything we ask, he's there. And so the kids just love having him. Anything that we need, he's always there. So CASA Coalition, on behalf of CASA Coalition, we thank you for all your support and your continued support. On behalf of all the youth in Willacy County, thank you. And Lizzie's got something.
We got you a little something. Since he is the chair of CASA, we weren't able to approve any money from CASA. So we weren't able to get anything fancy like a plaque, but we did get a little something. I mean, no hint on where we got it or anything, but it's just a little something from Stephanie, Rosalie, and I, so we hope you enjoyed. It's different from everything else, but we do hope you enjoyed, and we appreciate everything that you do for us.
I have not heard the name McGruff in I don't know how long. When I was a kid, and as kids do, playing in their dad's office, I would do that. And I went over to school here at LC Smith, and McGruff would come over with Dad. And my dad's friends with McGruff, guys. Come on. And then playing in Dad's office, go, Dad, what's in this box? And open the box and saw McGruff's head. I think that's the day that I lost my youth, Dad. Still recovering. By 1980, Spence had earned the rank of Chief Deputy and was now serving with Sheriff Raul Arevalo Sr. And he continued his community involvement, going into area schools, talking with students about law enforcement. In 1984, he made the decision to run for the Sheriff of Willacy County. He was temporarily relieved of his duties with the Willacy County Sheriff's Office during the duration of the campaign, and for a small brief time was an investigator with the District Attorney's Office here in Willacy County. But in January of 1985, he was sworn in as sheriff. And he's been in that position ever since. And I'm sure if you ask him, he'll say that he's done it with, faith in the community and an overwhelming faith in God. And with that being said, I'd like to invite Ms. Gabriela Rodriguez up to sing one of Sheriff Spence's favorite songs.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! Thank you.
I paid Texas A&M University Kingsville a lot of money for them to give me a music degree so that I could say, man, that was good. That was incredible. Wow. I'm extremely impressed. So impressed that I've, in fact, lost my place. No, I'm good. Here to make a presentation from the Sheriff's Association of Texas, Mr. Don Sal.
Well, baby sister, that was quite a song there. That's one of my favorites too. I think everybody was speechless listening to you. Certainly my honor to be here today. pleasure knowing Larry and Vicente all these years. He's one of the first sheriffs that, I became sheriff 18 years ago nearly, but came to me, was very friendly and welcoming, and always never forgot that. Good friend, a good comrade, and one heck of a preacher. When I had the opportunity to get elected president of the Sheriff's Association, I had served on the board with him a few years, and I asked him if he'd certainly stay on another year as our chaplain. And he graciously did, and I'm so proud of that. It's been a pleasure serving with you as a comrade sheriff. And I thought, that guy can make an atheist want to cross the river. He could put a prayer on, and I hope there's no atheists here. If you are, get over it. But this guy here is a great one, and I'm so proud of the service. And so on behalf of the Sheriff's Association of Texas, representing your fellow sheriffs around the state, it's my honor to be here today to present the sticker of appreciation to Sheriff Larry Spence of Willacy County for his outstanding support and cooperation with the Sheriff's Association of Texas, and is committed to his unselfish service to the people of the state of Texas. He's recognized by his peers as an honorable man and an outstanding peace officer. Congratulations on 50 years behind the badge. Our executive director was coming with me, Steve, but he couldn't make it at the last minute, so he and I want to present to you on behalf of our comrades around the state. It's certainly been a pleasure serving with you all these years. Thank you very much. Larry and I have something in common, and we both served in the United States Air Force together. And I had a little private note I want to give you. Okay. You read later? Yeah, whatever. But we started our careers in the United States Air Force. That's one thing I liked about him. He was a security policeman, and we were kind of called the Air Force's light infantry. We were military policemen. We did a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about. And good band of brothers, I always thought. So I have a cap similar to this, so I want to give you kind of Air Force security police badge. Your series of service and name on it. And I don't know your squadron number. You might want to get that on there, but I have one, and I'm so proud to wear it during Vietnam Veterans Day, Memorial Day. I served life member of Vietnam, Security Police Vietnam Association, and I thought if anything I could give you as comrade is something from where we started at. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a tech sergeant when I was in California, a little Air Force station there. That was my first assignment after I left Lackland. And about halfway between LA and Frisco, it's not in existence now, but a little radar site sits on top of a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. About 200 of us there, maybe 6 air policemen at that time, what they call them. And I have the air police badge in here, which are very hard to find by their collector's items. Security police badge, a little easier to find, but the air police badge. But one of my reserves went on eBay and found me one, and then I got another one from somewhere, so I have 2 of them, and they're very dear to my heart. And but anyway, we were out there, and there was a tech sergeant that was our supervisor. He had just come back from Vietnam. This was in 1966, I guess. And he said, you know, because of your field, you know you're going to go sooner or later, so you might as well volunteer and go and get it over with before something really bad happens over there. And, you know, it's kind of like believing a recruiter. I believed him. And I went ahead and volunteered, and when I went home on leave before that, before I left to go over there, my mom got a copy of the orders, and she said a lot of things, but most of them aren't repeatable right now. But she said, did I drop you on your head when you was young or what? You know, I said, why? She said, it says here you volunteered to go to Vietnam. Oh yeah, but the tech sergeant told me to get over there and get back before something got really serious. So I was there from September 67 to October 68, which 68 is when the big tent offensive happened. You know, so it wasn't a really quiet tour of duty, but you know, God, even though we don't realize it sometimes, has his hand on us, and he molds the way we should go. And so he protected me and brought me home safely, and I got stationed at Scott Air Force Base just out of Belleville, Illinois, which is just outside St. Louis. And so that was my 4 years in the Air Force. But went in as an air policeman. They changed it to security police about a year or so after that. Now it's security forces, I believe. But anyway, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it very much.
I remember as a kid going through Dad's stuff, and back when he was, it took about 10 years after CDs came out to push him off of cassette tapes. He goes, well, I can't record on a CD. And I said, but yes, you can. But I found a cassette, and I was going through it, and it's a tape that he had recorded while he was over there in Vietnam and sent home, you know, as soldiers did. And you listen to the tape, and, you know, it's, hope everybody's doing all right back there, and hope everything's going okay. And then you start to hear these mortar bombs going off in the background, and you hear the entire squadron just running out of the thing. And I when we got him, and I said, hey, what's this? He goes, oh man. He started laughing. He said, I remember sending that home and getting a letter from Papa, his dad, saying, if you ever do that to your mother again. Yeah, she broke out in hives with that one. But it's really, really interesting. With our final presentation tonight, I'd like to bring up Chief Deputy Joe Jimenez and the Willacy County Sheriff's Department. Let me get this way.
I know when we first started this, I think it was back in May, me and the sheriff usually on Mondays we go have breakfast together and see what's going on and see what's new. And one day he told me, he said, you know what? I think, you know, on June 1st of this year, I'm gonna be, you know, it'll be my anniversary. And I thought it was his marriage anniversary, but he said, no, it's 50th anniversary of carrying a badge. And he told me, he said, you know what, I'd like to maybe do something small for the community here at the office. And I thought, okay, Sheriff, we can serve sandwiches and we can invite the community and whatnot. Well, my biggest thing was that I thought I was going to do good, but I said, you know what, I'm going to form a little committee to do this. Well, when I formed that little committee, it grew to all this tonight, you know, and I'm glad that we have been able to do this. As far as within the department, the staff, where's Captain Walter? He's gone, I guess. Anyway, we decided to come up with something of appreciation for the department, and I'm going to let the corporal here go ahead and read this.
Sure, we got a little something.
A little something.
Real quick, just real quickly, I remember meeting the sheriff approximately when I was about 12 years old. Now it's been a couple of years since then, but you know, it's been a pleasure serving under leadership. You get to do something. Look plaque. It reads, "True leadership is defined as someone who leads by example. A true leader inspires others to reach their full potential and to achieve great things. Sheriff Larry Spence, your selflessness and true dedication to a law enforcement profession has been an inspiration to us all. You are a humble and faithful servant of God, your country, and your community. For that, we are truly grateful. Congratulations on the 50th year anniversary in this most honorable profession. Now, Heavenly Father, bless you with many more years and that you may continue to serve as an inspiration and true leader that you are."
Also, what I like to say is also, this year comes from a very special person also. I went to our Prison 3 Constable, Ben Vera, and I told him, I said, Ben, you know, we're looking for something that, you know, he would appreciate having in his office, something that would show his leadership for our department. I said, so what do you think we can come up with? He said, I'll take care of that. So, Ben, thank you very much.
Just really quickly, I'd like to have Sheriff Guerra come up to read a letter from the director.
You know, when I first came into the room, the first thing that the sheriff said to me, he said, Sheriff, thank you for coming. You know, and I told him, Sheriff, it's my honor and my privilege to come. And I want to tell you how much it cost me, because my wife wanted me to go with her to Houston because my daughter got engaged, and she wanted me to go with her to help plan the wedding. And on the way over here, she told me she ran out of checks and she needed a credit card. So, but I'm the youngest sheriff in the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition, and you know, that was started. The coalition is made up of all the Texas border sheriffs from El Paso all the way to Brownsville, and I believe I've got 2 sheriffs here that started when that coalition got together, and I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Sheriff. So the sheriff asked me to in the last meeting that we had down in South Padre Island, they suckered me into being on the board of that. So thank you very much. And I love going to these meetings and listen to my good friend Sheriff Spence and Sheriff Lucio talk about their war stories. You know, their first patrol vehicle was 1 horsepower, ran on grain and water. They'd come a long ways. You know, and their trip to the sheriff's office was uphill both ways. So thank you for those inspiring stories. But he asked me to come up here and read a letter from our executive director of the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition that couldn't be here today. And it reads to the Honorable Sheriff Spence, 50 years of service to your God, your wife, your family, your sheriff's family, your nation, your state, and your community is a record for all to set as a standard of excellence. Your fellow sheriffs of the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition, the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition, and the staff wishes you a joyous celebration of your dedication to duty, your integrity, your service, your honesty, and your compassion. Your service to the Sheriff's Association of Texas as chaplain for many years has been inspirational. Your prayers offered at the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition, the Texas Border Sheriff's Coalition, the Sheriff's Association of Texas events have been a blessing to all to hear the Lord's words through you. As a veteran, you have served. As an active member of civic groups, you have served. As sheriff, you have served selflessly. You hold your wife in high esteem, and you serve our God. We can only say thank you for setting that example. Most of all, Sheriff, we wish you all good things and are thankful for your friendship. Years in service for the membership. Signed, Executive Director, Donnie Ray.
You know, growing up around people like this all the time, it's just such a cool way to grow up. You know, you attend these conferences. I attend these conferences with him as a kid. Texas sheriffs are the coolest looking guys on the planet. Let me tell you, you have 217 guys walking around in cowboy hats and boots and stuff, and you're like, no wonder everybody loves Texas. 254, 254 sheriffs walking around, cowboy hats and boots. You're like, man, no wonder everybody says that Texas. And then, he says too. I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as quick as I could. But it's been really, really incredible, and I've had the opportunity. I remember coming to him when I started 6th grade band, and said, hey, I'm going to be in band. And he was like, what are you going to play? I said, trumpet. He goes, learn taps. And I said, oh, whatever. And I started playing taps with the VFW 6719, American Legion Post 390, when I was in 7th grade. And I've been doing it ever since. And it's so much fun and such an honor to do. And now that I'm a band director, my trumpet players tell them, coolest thing you're ever going to do is be able to play taps for somebody. So I thank him and guys like them for instilling that kind of pride in my state and in my country and me. It's been really great. Sheriff Spence has spent the last 40 years of his career with the Willacy County Sheriff's Office, the last 32 of which serving as sheriff. I'm sure everyone in this room can agree that he's done so with as much grace and humility, dedication, and drive than anyone could have ever asked for. And I know that may sound biased coming from me, but as long as I've been on this earth, he's been my sheriff too. Yeah. So whenever I think of him, thoughts of the badge are not far behind. I've never had to look far for a positive role model. See, I get this from him. I can't even get through my own band concerts. My 8th graders are leaving, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Get out of here. And then I call him and say, it's your fault. It's your fault I can't talk in front of people. If you were to ask him how one stays in a single profession for 50 years, I'm sure he'll tell you that he's only been able to do it with the support of the amazing citizens of Willacy County and an overwhelming faith in God. And I think we can all say that we're lucky to call him our county sheriff, but I'm the lucky guy because I call him Dad. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, your sheriff and mine, Sheriff Larry Spence.
Thank you. Please be seated. I fear these kind of things because it's like when you go and preach somewhere, a pastor goes out of town and you preach, and then first thing you know, the devil kicks up his heels, and I do give God the credit for everything in my life. But I'm going to share something with you. This is the first time I've ever had a dinner in my honor. I don't know, Oscar Lopez probably had several of them. But and Omar Lucio, they've always been very active within their communities as well. But this is the first time, and you look back in history, and there's some people who probably never had a dinner. Like George Washington, who said to his father, if I never tell a lie, how am I ever going to be elected president? But he never had a dinner. Eve, who said to Adam, you think this fig leaf is too big for me? Never had a dinner. Eve, who said to Adam on another occasion, what do you mean the kids don't look like you? Never had a dinner. Orville Wright, who said to his brother Wilbur, we've only been in the air 12 seconds. How did our luggage go to Cleveland? He never had a dinner. Noah's wife, who said to Noah, please don't let the elephants watch the rabbits. Never had a dinner. Dolly Parton, who said to Mrs. Olson, yes, these are mountain grown. I had to finish with that one, so I know it's not a Chaplin story. But, if I've had any success in all these years, it's because I've had the privilege and the honor of working with, alongside many good women, men and women, and it's been a blessing. I couldn't have gotten to this point where I am today in my career without them by my side. And I'm grateful for their assistance and especially their friendship. I'm doing a job I love doing, and hopefully we've made a difference in some lives along the way. But I want to thank my law enforcement family, my local, my state, my federal, and the judges and all them that go along with that. And especially the friends. You know, I'm sure these guys do. You know, I get letters from prisoners, you know, that we've sent to prison, and I pray with people in my office. I don't know if that's politically correct anymore, but I don't really care. But somebody wants prayer, then I'm going to help them with it. My business card saying, with God, all things are possible. So, you know, in closing this off, and I want you all to stick around and get some pictures and fellowship a little bit, but I just want you to say from the bottom of my heart, I really sincerely, and this is difficult for me because, you know, I told God a long time ago, about 5 terms back, I said, don't let pride keep me there. If you have something for me to do in that position, I will stay as long as you want me to. But if you don't need me there anymore, then close that door and open another one, take me home, or do whatever you're going to do. But everything I've accomplished in my life is because of him, and most of my life I didn't even realize it. It's because of him working through me. And if you allow him to do that with you too, there's no stopping you. So thank you very much for being here. God bless you all. And if you want to hear a lot of stories, George Solis is here. We told him he couldn't have the microphone tonight. We only rented the hall for 4 hours. Oscar Lopez is here, and his beautiful wife. And just great friends. Man, this has been an awesome night that I will remember forever. Thank you very much. God bless you.
There he was, unsure of the future, constantly searching for just what the world had to offer. Never did he ever realize until he finally opened up his heart